Either Brian Laundrie's still alive or his parents offed him, in my opinion. My husband and I just got done watching the Gabby Petito documentary on Netflix, and man, oh man, do I have thoughts and opinions, y'all. Couple things here. How is it that that man was able to drive all the way from Wyoming to Florida, and yet we don't have a lick of video footage of him actually getting out of the car to pump gas? They only have supposed bank records from Gabby Petito, and then him sending himself money from her phone, $700 or whatever the case was, essentially saying goodbye forever, Brian. And yes, obviously they know at this point that it was Brian who was sending those messages to himself. But how come we don't have any video footage of him getting out and like getting food or getting gas anywhere? He literally drove across the entire country, and you're telling me there's not a single surveillance camera that actually caught him doing this? And then you're also telling me that supposedly when he got to Florida, he was in that house for weeks before he went out on this hike where there's zero video evidence of him driving from the house, getting out of the house when there's protesters there 24/7. Nobody saw him leave that house, get into that car, drive to the park, and then go for that hike where he supposedly offed himself. No video footage at all in 2021, just 3.5 years ago. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if you can actually convince me that Brian was ever actually in Florida. Or if he was, you can't actually convince me that he was ever actually in that park in Florida. Because wasn't he missing for like 35, I think it's 35 or almost 40 days, and then his parents found his remains. Yep, they looked for weeks, and he was found less than a mile away from where the car was parked, and yet his mom drove to pick up the car and drive it back. And then at the same time, it wasn't until the parents came out and supposedly found his bag and then found him within an hour and 45 minutes. That's fucking fishy. And it was his uncle, who was the dentist, who verified the remains as Brian's through his dental records. What? I don't know. And then to add on to this, if he was found by his parents in the park in Florida, you can't convince me that they didn't have an inside person in the FBI down there in Florida. Because how the hell would you have all those people out there for weeks looking for his body, and yet his parents, I don't know, man. His mom's fucked though. Big fucked up. How are they still walking out in society right now? It is so clear that they already knew about the entire situation, considering he had a 55-minute long conversation with his mom, or his parents at least, on the day after Gabby was apparently, allegedly, or not allegedly, but was unalived. Allegedly on that day, I should say. And then they immediately contacted the attorney and then kept going back and forth with Brian. And then why did the sister say that he flew home? Like, where's the mom involved in all of this? And why would she put it in a personalized letter to her son saying, burn after reading, that she would help him bury a body? Did she fly out there? Was she the one who actually drove the van home? These are all just questions I have. Okay, completely alleged here. I just find it odd, again, that we're in 2021 and there's not a lick of video footage of that man actually going from Wyoming to Florida. And there's no video footage of him going from the house in Florida to the park. So I don't know if he's actually out and about. I honestly don't think that he ever left Wyoming, or I don't think he ever went from Wyoming to Florida. I genuinely think either his parents offed him in Wyoming and then took the body home to place it somewhere, because he hasn't been seen, or his mom went out to Wyoming, drove the van back to Florida, and he just had weeks to flee the country, and he's just nowhere to be found at this point. You can't convince me that mom's not involved, man. You can't. And then at the same time, you can't convince me that the dad doesn't know what's going on, because love makes you do crazy things. But that is, my husband and I were talking, and I was like, I don't know if I could ever, if somebody who I loved committed an act like that, I'd be on the phone. I don't care how much I love any single one of you guys at all. I'd be like, nope, he did it. Here's the address, because that's, no. I just got a lot of questions, man. A lot of questions, a lot of assumptions, a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts about this.